Happy Friday, everyone. Hey, Miss Dolores. Hello there. How are you? Hey, Lolita. Hey, Evangelist. Hello there. Hey, Teresa. Hello, hello. I hope you guys are having a great Friday and prepared for a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Hey, Robin. Hello there. This is another true crime story. Actually, it's still developing as of right now. And I was covering it earlier in the week when the Amber Alert had first went out, but then things begin to go really, really quickly. I must say, in this case here, it did transpire fast, but it's because the investigators did every step to ensure that we got clarity and understanding. And I believe it was in less than 24 hours that there was an arrest after the Amber Alert. We're about to get caught up on the case, and um, so that we can know, what's all included. And then I'm also going to do a part two to this story as well when another update do come. I believe that they both go back to court sometime at the end of the month. And so that's possibly when we're going to do a part two. Okay. Alrighty, y'all. So if you haven't done so already, please make sure that you do share the live if you can. I'll definitely appreciate it. And if you are new here, please make sure that you do subscribe. All right. Now, this is the case in the death of Nola Dinkins and a false Amber Alert. Okay, so Nola Dinkins was a little girl from Northeast Maryland, and just days ago, there was a focus on an Amber Alert after her mother had told the police that the child was kidnapped at gunpoint in Delaware. Now, but here's where the story gets a little crazy. It was all a lie. It wasn't true, which I must say, there was many people that were watching the case early on that said that the story just didn't make sense. So in reality, Nola was already deceased. Her body was wrapped in plastic and it was found stuffed inside of a suitcase, dumped into to the woods behind her mother's boyfriend's house. So today we're going to basically break down the entire timeline from start to finish up until, them going to court yesterday in a press conference. Now, I want you guys to also comment below if you think that a parent deserves what do you think a parent deserves when they kill their child and then try to hide it, because that's exactly what she did. But what makes that question a little hard is because we're living in a day where when we see a mother do these types of things, the first thing that people run to is postpartum. And so they kind of give parents a little bit of leeway. So, what do you think she should receive for not only the lie, but the death as well? Now, we're going to start with the entire investigation. So, on Tuesday night, on June the 10th, Darian Randall, who is the mother, okay, she, wait one second, guys. So Darian Randall, she actually is 31 years old and she had called the police out there in Newark. Okay. And she claimed that an armed man had kidnapped her daughter. She says that she parked on Gender Road when a black SUV had pulled up next to her. So a man that was wearing a black hoodie and some gray shorts had then pointed a handgun at her and then snatched her daughter from her out of the car. Okay. Now, as this do sound a little serious, because of course, just imagine how the investigators feel getting a call like this. The description was very detailed. So the police had immediately started an Amber Alert across Delaware and all surrounding areas. Officers from Newcastle County Police, as well as Maryland State Police, had joined forces to act in search of the child. So, as part of a standard missing child protocol, the troopers had checked Randall's last known address, which is on Elk Nest Drive out there in Northeast Maryland, in the home of her boyfriend. Her boyfriend, his name is Cedric Britton, and he is 44. So, during this visit is where everything began to take a turn. So on Monday, of course, here's the incomplete timeline. Monday, that's when they went at Cedric Britton's home. Randall had beat her daughter, 3-year-old Nola Dinkins, and she had hit this child, guys, 15 to 20 times. Nola had then collapsed to the floor and was unresponsive. Now, what's interesting about this is Randall had then called Britton for help. And together they tried to do some CPR, but it was too late. So instead of calling 911, they then put Nola lifeless body into Britton's BMW and drove around trying to decide on what to do. So eventually, they had them return to the home and placed her into a blue suitcase, leaving it on the basement stairs overnight. Then moving on to Tuesday, June the 10th, Randall had called the police in Delaware, claiming that her daughter had been abducted at gunpoint. So she had fabricated this story about the whole white man, 40 years old, pulling a gun and snatching her child. The Amber Alert was then issued, but the camera footage at Britton's home had showed only Randall leaving the house, but Nola was never seen. So when police had searched the home, they had then found cleaning supplies, the smell of bleach, plastic gloves, as well as Britton's car. So a child's blanket that was stained had looked like it had some sort of blood spotting on it. So Randall's lies had begun to crumble and there was questions that needed answers. So she did admit the kidnapping story was indeed not true. So on Wednesday, June the 11th, Britton had drew the police a map showing them exactly where to locate where Randall had told him that the suitcase was put. Okay, so she drew this map to the location and gave it to the authorities. So at around 1:45 p.m., the Maryland State Police had located these human remains in a suitcase that was behind Britton's home in this wooded area on Dunes Drive. So the child's body was then it was very badly emaciated, completely wrapped in saran wrap, and it was awaiting formal ID. And that's where we are right now in this case. Now, what matters most in this situation is that this isn't just a story about a child that died, guys. It's actually about the betrayal of the same person that was supposed to protect her, who was her mother. Now, I must add on to this is that last year there was a custody battle as well as a DNA test that was done. And apparently, the biological father was actually looking to gain custody of the child. Now, Randall didn't kill her daughter, she beat her, lied about it, and then faked a whole Amber Alert and worked with her boyfriend to cover it up. So he may not have swung the belt, but he definitely helped her hide the body and tried to clean the scene while also misleading the police. Okay? Now, here is the thing. Would we call him a co-conspirator or would we call him accessory? Okay? Simply because he did not do the abuse. I would say that he would be still considered an accessory after the death because he's the one that helped her hide the body and things of that nature. He was not a part of the actual murder itself. Now, and if we look at this from a co-conspirator standpoint, then that means that he would have been a part of the murder itself. But what we would have to prove is that with them saying that she was found to be emaciated, that lets us know that there was some form of abuse before this beating. And the question is, was it him or was it her or was it both? Okay. Now, when it comes to Darian Randall, he has been charged. Well, she has been charged with first and second degree murder, child abuse resulting in death, and filing a false report. She also is being held at the Baylor Women's Correctional Institution out there in Delaware on a $1 million bond. And she currently is waiting for extradition back to Maryland for prosecution. Now, Cedric, he was charged with accessory after the fact, as I just stated, to murder, failure to report the death, and tampering with evidence. Now, initially in custody, he was released on a $70,000 bond and placed on home detention. Wow, there was a request for him to be held. So Britton had told the police that he was calm because he was military and that he had dealt with human trafficking before. So when he was being questioned by the authorities and things of that nature, his demeanor was a little bit laxed, abnormal for someone that is currently in the midst of an investigation of a child's death. Now, when it comes to this whole confession, there's a lot of questions that's going to have to be answered within this investigation. So I'm going to bring them forth to you guys now so that as this story begins to develop, you will be able to ensure that all these questions get answered before trial. Now, what triggered Randall's, the mother, what triggered her to strike this child? This child was only 3 years old. So violently this day. Okay. What was it? Now, what we do know is that when she called the authorities, she said that her child was crying or something like that. And she pulled over to assist her child. And that's when she seen this white man walk up to her with a gun, take her child from the vehicle. Okay. Now, I think that was half the truth. And I'm going to tell you why. And I've been saying this since day one with the Amber Alert had came forward, is that something tells me that when this child possibly did cry, or when she, got a little bit to be too much to handle, her mother would possibly get a bit frustrated and do things. So she gave a partial truth, okay, during her questioning, believe it or not. Now, was this a one-time outburst or part of an ongoing pattern of abuse in which this child had endured? With her being emaciated, we can bet your bottom dollar that by time the autopsy comes back, because what we're waiting for in the autopsy is any bruises, old or new. Old bruises will let them know, yes, she's done this before. Yes, he's done this before. Okay. And we're also looking for the cause of death. While she may say that this happened because she hit her child, there could be so many other things that could have happened in the midst of that. What was her current mental state in this moment and living conditions leading up to the incident? Now, a lot of people are going to point this directly to postpartum depression, which her child is still very much, she's 3 years old. Um, so could it still be there underlining? Of course, if she hasn't went to any form of therapy, psychiatrist or anything, it could be there underlining even at 3 years old. If you know postpartum depression, you know that it's definitely true. Okay. Now, would it be as intense as someone who had a baby, just a week ago or just a month ago? It may not have been, but it could have been also even worse because it's so far out. So that's something that they're going to have to look into as well. What I really want to know is, did this custody battle play a role in this? That's what I really want to know. Me myself, I really don't think that this is any part of postpartum depression. I honestly believe that this is a woman who, she is in this relationship, and from my understanding, no one really knew who this man was. Okay? No one really knew who he was or where he even came from. So something tells me that in the midst of this whole custody battle, there could have been some form of a resentment there, but I would not put it 100%. I'm not one of those people that like to just throw postpartum depression around, because I have suffered from it and there's many women that suffer from it. So I don't like to give that title to people prematurely. Okay? Because this early on in the investigation, she could have been just fine. And from my understanding and from looking at her social media, she looked just fine to me. Okay? She looked fine. As we know, mental health don't have a look. But she looked fine. Family said that she was, this is unlike her and things of that nature. So I prefer to wait until we get a little bit in with more information before I go giving her this, because I'm one that likes to protect that title, simply because I know that there's women that are out there that are suffering for real, that are being overlooked. So I don't go throwing it around. So I'm going to put it on just right now. There's some underlining things here, but I'm not going to put it 100% on PPD. Now, did she truly believe the false kidnapping report would succeed, or was it a panic type of move? Me, myself, I do believe that in this situation right here, I think it was a panic move. And I'm going to tell you why I believe that. I'm going to tell you where she messed up at, actually. In order for you, and I've told you guys this all the time, in order for a Amber Alert to go completely through in rapid pace and you actually to receive an Amber Alert, it's because there must be some form of danger, of abduction, and a vehicle involved. And this had both. So because of, unfortunately, she doesn't understand that you actually just gave the two required pieces of an Amber Alert, is why I feel like that was a quick decision. not realizing that there was going to be a stat response. Not only did she give a vehicle, she gave a description and a weapon and a child that's missing. Okay. So, yeah, it was definitely a rapid, nervous, I don't know what to do, but I need to cover this up type of move. Now, when it comes to Cedric Britton, how did Cedric Britton know and when did he know it? So it's clear that he knew that this child was deceased. The question is, was he there when the death occurred, or did she come and say that after this beating it occurred, or it's certain things, or could he have been around for other instances of abuse and kind of already know what could have happened? Did he encourage or assist in hiding the crime beyond what was admitted? As well as, why was Britton released on bond despite the disturbing evidence that was found in his home and his car? Well, he wasn't a part of the body. He wasn't a part of the murder. Okay? He simply helped her hide the body. But we don't know the details surrounding it. And let's just be honest. Okay? If we look over and we examine all of the details that is connected to this, then we know that he also helped the investigators locate where the body was as well. It wasn't the mother. So he also told them exactly what went on, along with her too. So that could possibly be why. Did he do it? And she said no. I don't think he did it. I just think that he helped her. And I'm gonna tell you why. The Amber Alert. That was her own fear. That instant move to call in the Amber Alert, not realizing that she's giving key pieces for a stat response. That was her own cover up. She realized that, it was nothing else to do. So you got to ask yourself, this is a mother. Yeah, he helped her. He helped her cover up the body. Now, could it come out later that he possibly was abusing the child too, or was around when the abuse happened? Of course. And when it's time for him to go to trial, then he'll be back in jail. But from the preliminary standpoints of this, he drove the suitcase. And another thing that we have to ask ourselves, did he even know that there was a body in the suitcase? For all we know, the child could have been wrapped in saran wrap, put in the suitcase, and she went up to him and said, "Hey, can you drop this off somewhere?" Who knows? But of course, I believe that he did. I believe he knew what was in that suitcase, guys. And that's just, thinking a little bit bigger than what's here preliminary. But I think he knew exactly what was in that suitcase for sure. Now we also have to look into his special forces or the military background as well, because his if he was discharged and was it honorable, that will also play a role in this as well, because if he has any type of violence while in the military, that also can, add another piece to this puzzle too. Now, as of right now, the body has not been officially identified, but they do know that it's her, and they're waiting for, the autopsy report to come forward. And of course, they're going to be looking for, as I said earlier, older bruises and newer bruises. The DNA or the blood that was found on the pink blanket will also be able to assist in this as well as surveillance footage inside or outside of the home that could possibly capture some form of audio or video of the abuse that occurred within that household. Now, something that they're for sure going to be looking into is, were there any prior CPS, you know, situations when it comes to Randall or Britton? And if so, what was it and what was the extent of it? Now, this is just one of those cases where did he do it or she's taking the blame? I wanted to go back to that evangelist because I've seen cases where we would think that the suspect, the mother, we would think that she did it. But as time go on, matter of fact, we just covered a case like this where the mother was in a domestic violence situation. Remember the one where the stepfather had beat the child and then he hid the child into a an abandoned home and put the child into a dresser drawer, and the mother wasn't comfortable to speak with the authorities until the boyfriend had got arrested for something not associated with the crime, and that's when she began to assist them, something like that, to where they both did get time, but the truth did not come out, the full truth. And the gravity of the situation doesn't come out until later. So please don't think that just because he's out on bond, it does not mean that he's going to walk away scot free, because he is on house arrest, by the way. In this case, it's still early. We're not even in, a week yet of this case completely. So anything can come up out of this. They can even begin to investigate more or question her more or collect more evidence from the home or surveillance footage from the home to realize that he is a part of the abuse as well and pin more charges on him, and then he'll be back in jail. And they know where to find him because he's on house arrest. So this is just too early to kind of determine his role in this, but something tells me that it was all on her. I don't know why. Something tells me that it was all on her, but he was a witness to it. Now, do I think that he played a role in the abuse at some point? Now, that's possible. But when it comes to who led the abuse, I believe that it's her. Who led it, it's her. Now, there's one thing that I'm hoping that won't come out of here that can change everything. And you guys know what that is once they do this autopsy report, if they determine if anything else was done to the child. Okay? And you guys know what I'm saying. Now, if that comes out, that can also give us i.e., either motive or the history of abuse. And I did look to see if this guy was on the registered sex offenders list. I did not see him. And I also ran his name as well. I did not see anything of that nature on his background. Okay. That doesn't mean that it could not occur, because we've seen cases like this many times, you know? So, but I have not seen anything yet. But once this autopsy come back, we will really be able to know the gravity of this abuse. And I think that's what the investigators are waiting for as well. Because the gravity of the abuse, the scars, the bruises, the marks, all that stuff is going to let them know the weight, the meat and potatoes of all of this. It's going to let us know everything that we need to know. And these are the questions that we must get answered by trial. Now, should he be able to walk away freely for helping to dispose of a body? It depends on the circumstances, i.e., he wasn't aware that she was in the suitcase, or, I feel like that he did, which he did, um, or it was by force type of thing, but I don't think that happened here. And he also assisted with the investigation as well. So this is just a very sad type of story where at some point, DOJ, Department of Justice, okay, you guys really need to be able to understand when it comes to certain type of crimes that there needs to be some form of oversight. Okay, enough is enough. When it's coming through these children, I believe that DOJ, and this is just to take that whole PPD thing out of there. Okay, when it comes to DOJ, I really, really believe that once a child is at this point now that we can say that once a mother has a child, she must be required, that DOJ needs more help. She must be required to undergo a psychiatric evaluation within a under a 6-month monitoring. Okay? Because as you guys know, after the baby is born, things begin to kick up literally within the first couple of weeks, sometimes first couple of months. And there needs to be some form of mandatory psychiatric evaluation to see any underlying problems that are there so that those things can be managed early on. That way we don't have these misdiagnoses, but also we don't have this PPD being thrown in places that it does not deserve to be. Because when I looked at this woman and I listened to the family and I'm, just trying to get a character understanding of who this woman was, it seemed like everything was okay. And it seemed like something could have triggered her. But there's also something in the back of my mind that will not go away is who is this man and where did he come from? But also, why was the father so adamant about custody? Nothing wrong with that. He has that right. But from what I'm gathering is that this dad wanted his baby with him. It could be because of this woman's company that she kept. It could be because of things in which she was partaking in, activities, lifestyle, or anything. There's numerous of reasons of why he could have wanted and felt as though that his child was better off with him. And those are the type of questions that are going to get answered later on, possibly around hearing time. Okay? Too many misdiagnoses. And there should be some form of medical, you have to go a medical evaluation and then also continue on with therapy and psychiatrists for at least 6 months after birth. That way we can save the lives of children and monitor the mental health of women that are having children. If we're going to cuz let's just be honest, many women that are going in, a lot of things are covered when it comes to labor, especially women that are low income and things of that nature that are getting assistance from the state. That should be something that should be added on, along with the WIC, along with all the other things. Make sure that these women are going to go get some form of mental help so that we can ensure that these situations are not, reoccurring the way that they are because it's like we're seeing this every day. It's like a everyday thing at this point. And I don't remember these times as I was coming up to where I see multiple women day in and day out, week after week, month after month, turning and doing something to their child. And at some point, we have to be able to separate a woman that needs jail time and a woman that needs mental help. Because at this point, we're giving too many chances. We're giving too many excuses for people that just do weird things for dumb reasons. That's what we're getting to right now. So that's why another reason why I'm really careful about this whole PPD thing. I'm not willing to just give that to anybody because PPD is something that's out of a mother's control. But a lot of times, women that deal with their mental health after pregnancy, they're able to tell you, listen, I have PPD or I suffered from PPD. It is those that are not willing to seek the help in which they need to get when they see that they are getting a little out of their mind. They're getting a little delusional. They're getting a little, their mental is not where it needs to be. Those are the ones that which many times end up going left. It's not the ones that's seeking help. It's just not. And it's because they're under high monitoring mentally. You know what I mean? So there needs to be some form of oversight when it comes to pregnancies and women in therapy and mental health and all of this so that we can separate criminals from mental patients or someone that's suffering from mental illness. They use it for convenience and an excuse in many instances. If she had time to go lay up with a man that nobody knows where this man even came from, she had time to go get help from whoever. She had time to find this so-called man that just dropped out of the sky. She had time to go find a psychiatrist. The same way she picked up, I have to use this example all the time. Okay? The process is the same. The same way she got on the phone to call a man and say, "Hey, can you meet me here?" or "Hey, can you pick me up?" It's the same gesture to say, "Hey, I need an appointment." The gesture is the same. It's about prioritizing what is important. And she chose to prioritize meeting with the man and then abusing her daughter. And who knows if he put and added to this or was a part of this, was the lead or the follower of this, but the gesture is still the same. So we have to be really sure about who we giving these excuses to. Really sure. Really sure, because this is another child lost her life, and a mother sitting in jail on $1 million bond, and her so-called boyfriend that nobody knows is out on house arrest. And a family is left to plan a funeral. Add therapy, something, yes, something to encourage the parents to stay together. That's true too, especially with these young parents. These younger parents, it's okay to co-parent. It's okay. Like, I've had people say, I don't like my baby daddy, I don't like my baby mama. Okay, but do you love your kid? If you love your child more than you hate your baby daddy, baby mama. Love your child enough to know that you need help, you need assistance, you need support, you need a village, you need time, you need breaks, you need all of that, especially after having a child. So you have to set your ducks up in a row and get the support you need. If you don't have a mother or a father or a baby father to assist you, get you some therapy so that you can go to someone's couch and let some of that weight off. Dump some of that weight off. Therapy is okay. I do know that in many, cultures, we are taught that therapy ain't good and da da da. Da. Let that go. Go sit on someone's couch. And sometimes talking is all you need just to go make it another day and be sane and just talk. Let it out. Cry it out. Whatever you need to do. Love your children more than you hate that person. And it's just that simple. Keep continuing to lose children for things that we see is just, it's getting a little bit much. It's getting a bit lot. And I cover these cases a lot, but I've never covered, and I even as me growing up, I don't remember seeing so many mothers doing these types of things to their children. So that lets me know that there's something that is going on mental health wise, DOJ wise. And this is why I'm also one that believes that DOJ, mental health, needs to be in communication. You guys need to be sleeping together. DOJ, mental health, you guys need to be sleeping together, because sometimes you guys are not knowing who are the mental patients, who have a history, who having CPS, who doing this. You don't know because you are not in communication. I need y'all to go together real bad. Real bad. And I think that's what's lacking here as well, is that they're not in proper communication. They're not. They're just not, guys. I'm sorry. They're lost their way. They have. Alrighty, guys. So listen, prepare for next week. Make sure that you stay tuned for next week's lineup. I will be posting it over the weekend. Also, I will be coming to Bigo today. We will be monitoring the press conference for this story, as well as the story of a young child in the Bronx whose father threw him, hey Nail Star, whose father threw him over a bridge. And he had been missing since Mother's Day, but they just now found him this week. And it's because the father had did a horrible but good job at, deflection and hiding, and just dragging the situation on until the child's mother held him at knife point and said, "Where's my son?" And he told her coldly, "I threw him over the bridge." And they just recovered his body a few days ago. So we're going to go over that case, as well as a woman who has been arrested. Trial is going to be starting soon for doing the unthinkable to a child. We're going to read over the affidavit. And then we're also going to do the update in the press conference for the father who killed his three daughters and is currently on the run, and they're searching for him. And from my understanding, they're getting close. There has been some spottings of him. He was seen. It's just that when the authorities finally thought they were getting close, he disappeared somewhere in the woods. So he's still out there, alive and well, So we're going to go over the press conference for that today as well. Um, Not even 10:47 yet. Yes, I gotta go. I gotta keep it moving. I did finish my y'all that 12-page paper ate me alive yesterday, but I am finished. But I gotta keep it rolling. Gotta go to the next platform, and I got things to do today. And I'll see you guys on Monday. Make sure that you do. Please remember, we do have the engagement raffle that is going on this month. I have not only been seeing Miss Dolores again. I need to see some of my royal investigators, my royal reporters, my royal therapists. I need all my royal, members to make us some posts. Also, another thing that'll be a great thing for you to do is you can share some stories into Spaces by Wix. Your story may be picked, and I may choose to dig into it. So make sure that you go look at whatever's breaking in your local news. That can be shared into Spaces and give me some time to, look into some things. Now, when we get into this, if you want any updates on this case, you can also tune into savageroyalty.com. And most of all, we have to keep in mind on how do we protect little girls like Nola from slipping through the tracks before it's too late. The question of today, and make sure that you comment below, should someone who helps dispose of a body ever walk free on home detention, where exactly this man is right now? You guys have a great, 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 great day. Thank you for watching, and thank you for tuning in to True Crime with Savage Royalty.